It's been a week since a teenager silenced critics and won the candidates chess tournament, but the buzz has not died down just yet. 17-year-old Gukesh made history in Toronto, came into the tournament with no one giving him a chance, and has completely redefined the landscape of the sport with this win. We bring to you the thoughts and reactions of world number one, legend of the sport and candidates winner himself, Magnus Carlsen. It's a Firstpost exclusive in connection with a Norwegian podcast hosted by Odin Via and Askid Brian, where Magnus Carlsen spoke at length about this tournament and the winner in particular, Gukesh. He was rather quick to admit that he had not given any of the Indians, let alone Gukesh, much of a chance at the start of the tournament, and spoke about the potential this kid possesses to go a long way here on.
It's usually a staple of some of the greatest players ever that they sort of succeed at the highest level a little bit. They obviously show promise at an early age, but then they succeed at the highest level a little bit before people generally expect them to. So it's been an amazing story, and I'm sure he's feeling all kinds of excited now.
Clearly, Carlsen was pretty surprised by the turn of events, understandably so. You're speaking of a young teenager outplaying the wits of superstars like Caruana, Nepomniachtchi and Nakamura. Carlsen and Gukesh also had a few chats in the lead up to the tournament. He goes on to also speak of what his advice was to the youngster.
We had a quick talk about the candidates. I mean, I found it hard to give great advice because you don't know what's going to work for everybody. But I mean, first of all, he's a wonderful guy. Very quiet, very humble, and has a great curiosity when it comes to everything about chess. So I don't even remember like how the conversation like came along, but the only thing I remember saying is like don't go crazy because others generally will. And I'm not sure if that was helpful. I would like to take exactly 0.00 credit for his success, and I didn't expect him to do this well either, but I'm really happy for him.
Gukesh was a picture of calm and composure, and you could sense that throughout the tournament. Most parts, of course, barring that one round, the seventh one where he lost to Alireza. He exemplified patience and what it truly takes to be a champion in one of the most intense tournaments in chess. Carlsen knows how difficult the tournament is because although Carlsen was 13 when he became a grandmaster, that was in the year 2003. It wasn't until 2013, 10 years later, when he turned 23, that he in fact won the candidates tournament. So he was supposed to participate in this edition, of course, but eventually pulled out, citing lack of motivation in playing the longer version of the game. In addition to being a world champion in different categories, Carlsen is an astute observer. And while many praised Gukesh for his gameplay, Carlsen pointed out the technical aspects that make Gukesh different from the rest. He analyzed what led to Gukesh's triumph. Carlsen even went back to the time he faced off against Gukesh.
He played on the Champions Chess Tour in 2021 in their preliminaries, and I think I played the opening like a little bit too casually against him. I was a lot worse as white in some London system. I eventually managed to turn the game around, and I pushed him a little bit before he was a draw, but not necessarily in that game. And in other games, what was noticeable about Gukesh, even compared to other youngsters, was that he was playing extremely ambitious. And from talking to Gukesh and hearing the way he talks about chess in general and the games that he played, I think he is extremely calculation-based. It struck me how good he is at calculation, and I think that's like mainly what he does, really, that he calculates extremely well. Both he calculates very quickly, he calculates precisely, and he's undogmatic in the way he calculates. So he will find ideas that other may not. He will have I don't know if you can call it the intuition, but he will go further in lines that others will not. At least compared to myself, who's a bit of a lazy calculator.
In 2022, Gukesh even went on to beat Carlsen, but Gukesh has come a long way since then. He's evolved as a player and a competitor. Carlsen, having himself risen to prominence at a young age, understands Gukesh's mindset. This is an exciting time for Indian chess. Let's not forget these candidates did have the biggest Indian representation across men's and women's categories. Apart from Gukesh in the men's, you had Pragyananda and Vidit. And of course, you had R. Vaishali, Pragyananda's sister, over in the women's draw, along with Kuneru Hampi, who finished in the top 3. And Gukesh, of course, amongst all of this, is leading the charge.